And we're back at Structural Dynamics Research Corporation. And while he's there, this young lady by the name of Ginger pops up, and as young men and young ladies do, they fall in love, they get married, and now we fast forward, right? 33 years later, being blessed with 4 children and 2 grandchildren, 6 grandchildren, excuse me, 2 of which we have with us tonight. JJ and Ginger have worked to build CSA Group, and JJ credits much of CSA's success to Ginger's skills at managing the administration of the firm, their vehicles, their facilities, and their purchasing, and probably managing him too. CSA Group joined CSI again in 2003. JJ became an active participant on the board, on the Knowledge Management Committee, and in 2005 we were able to convince him to join the Executive Committee for his second tenure. In 2007 he became the chairman of CII, and at that very important juncture in the Institute's history, there was a search made, and JJ led the search committee, and according to my mother, they picked the most handsome person for the new director of the Institute. Yeah? In addition to leading CSA Group and his CII activities, JJ has lots of other outside interests. He's a member of the National Academy of Construction, where he's the past president, and he chaired NAC's annual meeting, no small task, very similar chore to this. He's been in the Construction Industry Roundtable, where he is a past chairman. He's a member of the National Society of Professional Engineers and works with them, the American Society of Civil Engineers, United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Puerto Rico Manufacturing Association, where he's on the board. His company, CSA Group, is a significant contributor to the ACE Mentor program and sponsors the program in Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican affiliate. He also sits on the board of ABET, on the Industrial Advisory Board, the accreditation board for engineering technologies. Because of his tireless efforts, his numerous contributions, Dr. J.J. Suárez has been named to receive our highest award. It's his contributions to his friends, his contributions to his company, his contributions to the Institute, and his contributions to the industry. I was able to tell JJ, he came to the board meeting in Indianapolis this spring, and I was able to catch him and tell him that the Executive Committee had just advised him that he had been awarded the Carroll H. Dunn Award of Excellence, and he stood there really quiet for a minute. And he said, "Are you trying to get rid of me?" He said, every other recipient of this award is retired and gone. Are you trying to get rid of me? And I said, JJ, that answer is a resounding no. We need your energy, we need your desire to serve, and we need your integrity as an example for us as we continue on for the next 30 years in this industry. JJ, please come and join us and receive your Carroll H. Dunn Award. Young man, Dr. Suárez, congratulations. So let's turn this around. There we go. Let's get a few pictures.
2 shots. Thank you.
Got it. Please. Yeah. Spanish, Jay.
Right. Thank you, Wayne, for those kind words, and thank you all for being here with me in this special evening. Before I start, probably I should answer a question you have in your mind, and what are the J's stand for? The first J happens to be Jesus, just as our friend, my friend, our friend, Jesus de la Garza, you know, the guy sitting there with the accent. Congratulations, Jesus, and congratulations to the past winners of all the awards that we share with them tonight. You know, as I began preparing this hopefully brief speech of acceptance for these prestigious awards, my thoughts went back to 1988, 1989. I was barely on my into my new job for about 2 weeks at Belcan Engineering. By then, my short-term priorities had been made very clear by the owner and my boss of Belcan, Mr. Ralph Anderson. Ralph came to me and said, JJ, in a few days, the renewal of our contract with DuPont is coming up, and I want you to lead that process. Well, a few days later, after getting up to speed on all the technical and financial, legal aspects of the contract, I found myself at DuPont Engineering's headquarters in Delaware, and we were just starting our first meeting when the phone rings in the conference room, and the person who answers the phone turns to me and says, Mr. Suárez, our VP of Engineering and Construction, Mr. Bob Miller, would like a few words with you before we start our meeting. So, I went to Bob's office. I was led to his office. I had no clue what he wanted to talk about, but I wasn't worried. I had been prepared for all kinds of questions and negotiations, and or so I thought. After a few pleasantries, Mr. Miller says to me, JJ, I won't take much of your time, but all I want to know, just have one question, is why your company is not more involved in CII. Well, I wasn't totally prepared or prepared at all to answer that question. As a matter of fact, by then, I didn't even know what CII was. Luckily, before I could respond to Mr. Miller, he continued, you guys are doing real well. You're doing a good job for us, but we expect our contractors to get better and better all the time. I said, that's my break. I was really prepared to talk about our total quality philosophy and our QA/QC programs. But Mr. Miller, as if he was reading my mind, he says, all contractors come in here and brag about their quality programs. And that is good, but not good enough. We at DuPont believe that everyone, especially our contractors, will benefit from implementing CII's research. Well, by then you can, my level of anxiety was going a little, high. I wasn't in my job for a month, and I was already ready to blow the biggest contract we had for the company if I didn't think fast. So after a few minutes, Mr. Miller kept talking, and I kept thinking, how could I explain that our company was not involved, in the CII, and how could I harmlessly disclose that I didn't even know what the C and the I meant, let alone involvement? Well, Mr. Miller continued. He said, I don't see really, JJ, how any company can endure being a contractor for DuPont unless that company is committed to active participation in CII. Well, immediately, that's all I needed to hear. I jumped from my chair, abruptly interrupted Mr. Miller, and blurted out, "Mr. Miller, when and where is the next CII meeting?" So I guarantee you I'll be there. So anyways, that meeting happened a couple of weeks later. I'm not sure what I was expecting at that time, but I certainly did not anticipate that this meeting in Mobile, Alabama was going to have, or was going to lead to a transformation process for me. A transformation not only professional, but personal. I thought CII at that time was all about addressing issues like, labor productivity or means and methods of construction, or, field hard construction issues. However, I vividly recall in that the lively discussions during the plenary and the breakout sessions about discussing about people issues, engaging in topics like how to enhance owner-contractor relationships through partnering. So that was a new word for me, partnering, and teamwork. When interactions between these parties at that time were usually confrontational, sometimes antagonistic, and occasionally litigious. Or how to advance safety, putting safety as #1 priority in our industries, when back then at-risk behavior was prevalent. And actually, some of the workers took it as a source of pride. We're in a dangerous business, kind of a macho man mentality. Really, that meeting was a wow moment for me. Win-win relationships, 0 injuries. What a concept. Wow, I never thought that was even a goal. Like we're achieving, taking us a little longer, but we're getting there. Or like addressing how to attract more women, more minorities into the industry. By the way, attracting Hispanics was not much of an issue back then as it is now. That, to say the least, we have been well represented in the industry for some time now. Then, during the plenary session, they flash on the screen the influence curve. Double wow for me. Everybody is familiar with the influence curve. It's this sinusoidal curve coming down, depicting how to influence cost and schedule as the process of project delivery goes on. And on the other side, another similar curve but opposite is the S-curve, the cost S-curve. A thing of beauty, a work of art. I mean, only an engineer will draw that kind of curve. Actually, a structural engineer, not like me, not only an engineer. We structural engineers don't like things askew. They may fall down. We need perfect harmony and symmetry. So forces have to be in equilibrium. And we don't certainly now or in the future run that influence curve to be off balance and then have the whole CII body of knowledge, collapsing after it. So that's supposed to be a joke. Kidding aside, the implications of that curve goes beyond cost and schedule from my standpoint. It really applies to everything we do. You got to do things right the first time up front. Actually, I consider renaming the influence curve the universal influence curve because it applies to everything. Like I said before, CII, that meeting 25 years ago, opened my eyes to a totally new way of looking at our industry. Moreover, it sprouted in me a personal commitment to get involved in the industry improvement. What started just as a stipulation to maintain a business relationship with a DuPont company became, in a sense, a new way of life for me. Many good things have resulted from that involvement. Too many to mention here. I won't dwell on any, but as important as the technical part, a very significant and important thing to me is the personal relationships that I've built, my wife also built throughout the years. We have nurtured long-time friendships. Again, too many to mention over those 25 years. Unquestionably, CII has been central for the professional development of our leadership and thus our company's success. And for this and much more, I am forever grateful to the Construction Industry Institute, as well as all the people I've met along that journey. I'd like to thank the Executive Committee for having selected me for the Carroll H. Dunn Award. Not only the highest recognition bestowed by the CII, but certainly the most cherished award I have ever received. After having met and worked side by side over many years with previous awardees of the Carroll H. Dunn Award, I must honestly say I am most humble and, yes, a bit surprised. Sharing this award with these industry champions is truly an unexpected honor for me. To Dr. Richard Tucker, thank you very much for sponsoring my nomination, and especially for being the spark that ignited the CII beacon. Thank you, Wayne, and all the previous CII directors for maintaining and enriching this guiding light that we call CII. Many thanks to the CII staff, the most professional, dedicated, high-performance team of any organization I've been involved in. To my wife, Ginger, thank you for not only being my lovely mate, but also for being my devoted business partner. Thank you. Thank you. I want to also thank Gage and Jordan, my two grandkids. Stand up. You're here tonight to watch Pops on stage. I know being close to Walt Disney World had nothing to do with you accepting coming along with us. To all my CSA colleagues, I'd like to share this award with you. In many ways, if your embracing of the CII principles and practices that made this recognition possible for me. Thank you. In closing, I like to quote a short verse from a poet, Maya Angelou, which for me really encapsulates what CII is all about. She said, "When you learn, teach. When you get, give." We have come a long way at CII over the last 30 years, but there's still a lot of giving, learning, and teaching to do. Now more than ever, I feel committed to the improvement of the industry. I hope you do too. and here in CII is the right place to do it. So again, thank you so much, and have a safe and a good night. Thank you.